Welcome back to the channel. Right now, a lot of dinar investors are watching the 25,000 dinar note very closely. And the reason is simple. Too many important signals seem to be moving at the same time. People are seeing more talk online, more attention on Iraq's banking system, and more debate about what may come next. Some viewers think this is just noise, but others feel the pressure is building in a real way. That is why today's update matters. We aren't looking for hype, we're looking for the big picture. The 25,000 dinar note has become a symbol of the larger conversation about Iraq's financial future, and that makes it important for investors to understand the full situation. Today, we will break down why this note is getting so much attention, why banking reform keeps coming up, and why so many people believe tomorrow and the days ahead could matter. The goal here is simple. Stay calm, stay alert, and follow the facts that are being discussed around the dinar community right now. Let's get into it and look at what is really driving all this attention. One of the biggest reasons the 25,000 dinar note is getting renewed attention is because investors connect it to the wider reform picture in Iraq. When people hear talk about banking changes, digital payment growth, and stronger financial control, they naturally start asking what that means for large paper notes. The 25,000 dinar note stands out because it's one of the larger denominations in circulation, and large notes often become part of the discussion whenever people believe a country may change its money structure in some way. Iraq has been working for years to improve its banking system, expand electronic payments, and push more people toward modern financial tools. That shift doesn't automatically mean a currency change is coming, but it does mean the country is moving toward a more controlled and structured system. Investors notice that. They see more card use, more digital banking, more public talk about modernization, and they start wondering how physical cash fits into the future. That is why the 25,000 dinar note keeps coming up again and again. It's not just about the note itself, it's about what the note represents inside a country that is still trying to modernize its financial life. Another major factor behind the attention is Iraq's push toward digital banking and electronic payments. This has been building for some time, but it's becoming more visible now. Banks are offering more digital tools, government offices are shifting away from old cash-based and payment systems, are being modernized step by step. That matters because when a country moves deeper into digital finance, it often changes how people think about physical currency. Investors know that large paper notes can become less central when electronic systems become stronger. They also know that modern banking gives the government and central authorities more visibility over money movement. That can support better oversight, better compliance, and better financial planning. It can also make the economy look more organized from the outside. For people watching the dinar, this creates a simple question. Where does a large note like the 25,000 fit in a more digital future? Some believe it will continue to exist for a long time. Others think it may eventually be reduced in importance. No one can say exactly what the final structure will be, but the direction is clear. Iraq is moving toward more modern finance, and that is why people are watching the larger notes so closely. There's also growing attention on Iraq's foreign reserves and oil revenue, and that's another reason the conversation keeps growing. Iraq continues to earn strong income through oil exports, and that revenue supports the country's financial position. When reserves are stronger, investors often feel that a country has more room to manage its money system and support its banking structure. That doesn't mean a dramatic change is guaranteed, but it does mean the foundations can look stronger than before. In investor circles, reserve growth is treated as a confidence signal. People see it as proof that the country may be gaining more stability, even if the process is slow. At the same time, Iraq has been working to reduce unofficial dollar activity and strengthen its control over exchange channels. That matters because it helps narrow the gap between the official rate and the market rate. A smaller gap can make the financial system look more organized and more credible. When these pieces are combined, oil revenue, reserves, and tighter currency control, it's easy to understand why the 25,000 dinar note keeps coming up in conversations. Investors are not just reacting to one story, they're reacting to a larger financial pattern that seems to be unfolding in the background. Many people in the dinar community now use the phrase perfect storm when they talk about Iraq, and they use it because several different trends seem to be building together. On one side, there's digital banking expansion. On another, there's stronger talk about reform and global compliance. There's also the continued strength of oil revenue and the push to manage unofficial currency activity more tightly. When these things happen at the same time, people start feeling that a larger shift could be getting closer. That doesn't mean an overnight change is guaranteed, it simply means the environment is more active than before. Investors pay attention to that kind of setup because history shows that big monetary changes usually happen after many smaller steps have already been taken. You don't usually get a major move without preparation, structure, and coordination behind it. That's why the phrase matters. It captures the feeling that Iraq is not standing still, it's moving in several areas at once. For supporters of the dinar, that creates hope. For cautious observers, it creates a need for patience. Either way, the idea of a perfect storm is spreading because people see multiple developments is moving in the same direction, and that keeps the 25,000 dinar note in the center of the discussion. A lot of the recent excitement also comes from the belief that information is moving faster than before. In the past, people might wait a long time to hear about banking progress or policy changes. Now, updates spread across online communities almost immediately. That speed makes every small development feel bigger, and it also makes investors more alert. When people see more frequent discussion about banking modernization, they assume more activity may be happening behind the scenes. That may or may not be true in every case, but the effect is real. More attention creates more speculation, and more speculation creates more watching. This is part of why the 25,000 dinar note is being discussed so heavily. It sits right in the middle of the larger reform conversation, and every new banking update seems to pull it back into focus. Investors are also watching for signs that Iraq wants to be more connected to international banking systems. That's important because stronger international alignment usually requires cleaner systems, better controls, and more modern financial methods. The more people see these changes developing, the more they believe something important may be building. Again, nobody should treat that as a guarantee of an immediate outcome, but it does explain why interest is climbing. The flow of information feels faster, and the community is reacting to that pace in real time. Another reason this topic keeps spreading is because people are trying to connect banking reform with the final value of the currency. Many investors believe the rate will not move until the financial structure is ready. They often say the government must first get organized, the cabinet must be in place, and the budget must align with the central bank's next step. Whether every person agrees with that view or not, it's a major theme in the discussion. The logic is simple. A currency doesn't just change because people want it to. The system around it has to support it. So legal structure, political structure, banking readiness, and public communication all matter. So when people talk about the 25,000 dinar note, they're really talking about the larger path Iraq may be taking toward a more controlled monetary environment. Investors want to know whether the note will remain important, whether it will be reduced in role, or whether a larger financial shift could change how it's seen. Those are the questions behind all the chatter. The note itself is only part of the story. The bigger story is whether Iraq's reform path is creating the kind of environment where a new currency position could eventually make sense. There's also a strong psychological side to this whole conversation. When people see the same topic come up again and again, they begin to feel that something must be close. That feeling can become powerful very quickly. The 25,000 dinar note gets attention because it's easy to understand, easy to track, and connected to the larger question of how large cash notes will behave in a changing system. People tend to focus on visible things. A large note is visible, digital reform is visible, banking changes are visible, so the community keeps returning to the same symbols as a way of measuring progress. That's why so many viewers are checking tomorrow and watching each new update carefully. They want to know whether the next signs will come from the banking side, the budget side, or the monetary side. Some people are convinced the next phase is very near. Others think the process still needs more time. Both groups, however, are paying attention to the same developments. That's what makes the current moment important. It's not just about hope, it's about the fact that a lot of eyes are now on the same set of changes, and the 25,000 dinar note has become one of the clearest symbols of that attention. One practical warning that investors should keep in mind is that excitement can move faster than facts. When people get caught up in big expectations, they sometimes forget to slow down and ask what